Yes.
Because Tory rebels are on the warpath following the defection of Conservative MP Daniel Poulter to the Labour Party.
Well, according to The Telegraph, a group of Tory MPs are working on a 100-day roadmap to turn around their election chances, which would involve a new policy blitz and installing Penny Mordaunt as Prime Minister.
Well, it all follows the defection of the Central Suffolk and North Ipswich MP, Dr Poulter, yesterday. He's a former health minister who works part-time as a mental health doctor, and he slammed the government over failing the NHS.
Well, we're joined now by political commentator Peter Spencer. Good to see you this morning, Peter. And first of all, just how damaging do you think is Dan Poulter's defection?
It couldn't be a harder slap in the face when you consider that back in the day, some 40 years ago, the NHS is safe in our hands was a winning slogan for Margaret Thatcher. David Cameron reprised it some 8 years later, saying the NHS is safe in my hands. And now we've got this bloke who knows what he's talking about because, for heaven's sake, he is a practicing doctor and he's also, as you say, Steve, a former health minister, and he says not only is the NHS not safe in Tory hands, but it will be safer in Labour hands. And so, as I say, it couldn't come much worse than this. And health really matters to all of us. I mean, Lady Bracknell was onto something in the importance of being earnest when she said, well, health is the primary duty of life. It's not just stuff we read in the papers or see on the internet, whatever, about people sort of spending whole nights in ambulances before they even get into A&E, and indeed people sometimes actually dying because they don't get treatment in time. Which of us does not have a story to tell about a friend, a relative, a friend of a friend maybe, who's had a really horrific story? Now, the government, in response to the Poulter defection, say, oh, well, you know, look, we're spending more on the health service and we're reducing waiting lists. Doesn't alter the fact that they're still record length. And so for the Prime Minister, things could not be worse. And this, of course, is in days away from the local elections on Thursday, when it is confidently predicted that the Conservatives will lose hundreds and hundreds of seats and possibly 2 metro mayors. So we've been hearing in recent days about how Sunak has had a reset, yet another reset. They're sorting out welfare reforms and getting Rwanda through and increasing defence spending, but all that will just be blown right up of the water come Friday, when the sums have been done and the Tories realise just how badly the voters judge them.
Well, we shall have to wait and see on that one, Peter, won't we? You never know, it could go the other way. Never know till people have their say. Look, meanwhile, off the back of the defection, there's now this group of MPs trying to, have a 100-day blitz, new policies, 100 days to turn it round before the election and get Penny Mordaunt in as Prime Minister. I wonder how serious that is and whether that will push Rishi Sunak to actually call an election for July.
Well, of course, it's always possible that there'll be some 50 or so, just over 50 Tory MPs who actually call for a vote of no confidence, and it could come to that when it comes to actually a policy blitz under Penny Mordaunt. I've looked at these policies and they're same old. There's no getting around it, and then if I were sort of just the archetypal voter, I'd be thinking, well, I don't know, they promised this stuff before, they're promising now they've got a different person who's pretty good at holding up swords. But so what difference is that supposed to make? Absolutely diddly squat. And I have to say that also you'll be looking at a situation where the voters are again going to be thinking, look, how many leaders does it take before you take the hint? And I mean, what it will presage is yet more Tory turbulence, which is why, of course, old hands within the party say, look, just dream on, guys. This is just total la la.
And what do you think of Penny Mordaunt in all of this? I mean, she's distanced herself from the plotters so far, but do you think she could be the one to unite the Tory party and be a game changer in all of this?
Well, I mean, she does present a more moderate face, or the moderate face of the Conservative Party, most certainly. And it's actually quite interesting. There's a sidebar from Dan Poulter, is that he's unhappy about the way the Conservative, in his judgment, has become more right-wing and more nationalist. So, in a sense, he is the silent majority finally finding its voice. And it is possible that Penny Mordaunt would be indicative of the personification of precisely that. But we're talking a few months at most before there's a general election. The chances of altering public perception of the party within a timescale like that are just zero. There's just no chance she can do it, however clever she is.
OK, Peter, good to see you this morning. Thanks very much indeed. Well, if you've got a view on that, gbnews.com/yoursay. Already, where is it? William Howard, morning William, has been in touch saying, well, if you defect to another party, it should automatically trigger a by-election. Which I think is a fair point.
I mean, Dan Poulter has said he didn't want to do that to his constituents, considering there is going to be probably a general election this year, which is fair enough, I suppose. But he says he's going to stand down either which way, isn't he, at the next general election? That's what he would say.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, it's interesting. Is it the death knell for the party? Is it not? Is this move to get Penny Mordaunt in as Prime Minister a sensible thing to do for the Tories or not? Love your thoughts on all of that this morning. gbnews.com/yoursay.